Another thing as well that some of the pick-me women don't seem to understand is when it comes to what red pill men complain about with women and what they say they like in women, right? I say red pill men because these pick me women, they seem to be sort of getting their idea of what pleases men from the red pill. And first of all, that's a load of rubbish as well. The majority of men out there, they're not worried about a woman being a virgin. You know, that was more to do with religion, okay? People used to wait till they're married before, you know, losing their virginity because more people were religious back then, okay? And that was the man and the woman, not just the woman. All right, most men don't want a submissive wife. I can tell you that now. Most men do not want women to submit to them, okay?
About men saying they kind of want a docile, childlike, submissive, silent woman. But yeah, I mean, it's but you know what's funny? You're missing out on. If a woman should just be submissive and silent and never challenge you, like you need some, not like, obviously this can be too much, but there's an element of like that can help you. A level of challenging or like disagreeing with you is helpful to you, as it's not, you know, it's you are missing out on the true value of having a woman, to be in a partnership with a woman, or of the true value of how she's got a completely different perspective on the world that you do. You're missing out on the value of that. What's even the point in having a woman in your life then if you're not making the full value of, like, you know, it's just interesting.
Well, I mean, look, I'll be completely honest, some of these sleazy manosphere guys, I don't think they actually want a woman.
I agree.
Some of the ways they talk and just some of the ways they behave, I'm like, how deep are you in that closet? Because I think you might be in Narnia at this point.
It's funny what I can't.
Not they don't want a doormat, okay? They don't want a woman who'll just do what she's told. It's the red pill men that do, because they're incredibly insecure, a lot of them. And it's not I'm blaming people for being insecure, but it's when people's insecurity harms other people. Okay, like if a guy's insecure about relationships, that might not be his fault, but if he's gonna demand that the woman submit, shut up, then that's harmful, okay? Or like the pick-me women, if they're insecure about their self, I'd sympathise, but when it's a case of tearing other women down, that's when I lose my sympathy, okay? So yeah, first of all, it's these pick-me women are getting their idea of what men want from the red pill when it's not accurate that that's what most men want. But what they don't seem to understand as well is that some of these red pill men are actually bullshitting. When they say what they want, they are actually bullshitting. Okay? Because they'll say that they're fed up of modern hoes, modern whores, you know, like why can't a woman not be a hoe? They want their submissive virgin wife, yet some of them that say that are then going around sleeping with the promiscuous women, okay? Like, say like, is it Walter on Fresh and Fit, like going and getting that sex worker pregnant, and it's like, don't they say sex workers are for the street, you know? But it's like, this is what I mean, they're bullshitting. And it reminds me a little bit of one of the criticisms that men have about women, in the manosphere have about women, is that they say that some women will say that they want a nice guy, but will end up friend-zoning the nice guys and go out with the bad boys. Or if they're with a nice guy, end up dumping him and then pick a bad boy. And then say stuff like, oh, there's no good men out there. Okay, this is one of the criticisms that the guys from the manosphere have about women. Yet some men from the red pill community, they do a very similar thing with women. Is that they say that they are tired of these hoes, and talk about how it's not attractive if a woman has a high body count, but then they keep sleeping with the promiscuous women, and they'll even say stuff like, oh, dump a woman if she doesn't sleep with you straight away. And I think, well, that's giving men advice to go for the promiscuous women, not the woman who's going to wait until she, you know, gets to know you and develops feelings for you before sleeping with you. They're specifically telling men to go for the promiscuous women, while at the same time shaming women for being promiscuous. All right. Now, you might say, yeah, a lot of men, when they're young, sleep with promiscuous women, but that's not the kind they want to marry. They want to marry a woman who, you know, has not, you know, been sleeping around, okay? They want to marry the more, like, conservative one. Okay, but, as we have heard, some of the red pill guys will then talk about how, when they're married, they're going to cheat on their wife and she should be okay with them cheating. All right, now who are they going to cheat on their wife with? Promiscuous women, okay? So when they say they respect the women that don't sleep around, they are lying, okay? Some of them, not all of them, some of them, they are lying. Because if it's a case of, oh, they'll marry you if you're, you know, the traditional woman, and they'll have kids with you, and the woman can have the traditional role of raising the kids, cleaning the house, cooking the tea and all that, but the guy's going to be out sleeping with promiscuous women. That means he's not respecting his wife. He's using her as a servant. He's out banging the promiscuous women, or the bad girls, that excite him, while his wife is being a doormat and being at home, doing the cooking his tea, cleaning his house, raising his kids. And I'm not saying that most men are like that. They're not. But it's just some of the red pill guys. And I do also think that guys in the red pill that have that attitude probably won't get a traditional woman or any sane woman go anywhere near them. Anyway, apart from maybe one of these desperate pick-me girls. Okay. Now, there is a word for, to describe this kind of phenomenon of guys like, you know, sleeping with these women that they complain about, but then, you know, marrying the, you know, the traditional, what they consider the good woman, but then still preferring to have sex with the promiscuous woman. The term they call it is a Madonna whore complex, okay?
And thus, the Madonna whore complex is born. Now, my theory was that the Madonna whore complex had so much to do with the relationship towards your mother. Like, was born from, potentially, the relationship you have with your mother, at least probably one of the main ways. Or the relationship with your mother had a lot to do with the men who have the Madonna whore complex. First, though, let's explain, what is a Madonna whore complex? So Madonna refers to not the singer, but the Virgin Mary. Madonna, the Virgin Mary. And whore is, well, pretty self-explanatory. Now, for a healthy man, he shouldn't have a problem with falling in love with a woman, adoring her, respecting her, and feeling sexual attraction to her. Sounds normal, right? Well, so a Madonna whore complex is different. Quoting Wikipedia, in psychoanalytic literature, a Madonna whore complex, also called the Madonna mistress complex, is the inability to maintain sexual arousal within a committed and loving relationship. First identified by Sigmund Freud, who called it psychic impotence, it is a psychological complex that is said to develop in men who see women as either saintly Madonnas or debased whores. Men with this complex desire a sexual partner who has been degraded, whore, while they cannot desire the respected partner, Madonna. Freud wrote, "Where such men love, they have no desire, and where they desire, they cannot love."
Your first love affair, in a very simplistic way, is your parent. And but if a mother says, "Oh, he adores me, I'm going to use him," right? So I'm going to make sure, "Oh, you're very cute, you're very sweet. Does mommy look good? Why don't you pull up my dress?" And pretty soon, there's an involvement that goes too far and too long. And now I'm getting jealous that you have a crush at school. Mm. You know, so now it's complicated and contaminated. And you're right. So now I download that erotic romantic story and I take it out into the world when I'm 20 years old. And now I'm confused. I'm conflicted. Right? You know, so maybe I can love you, but I can't have sex with you, but I can have sex with you and not love you, right? So sometimes we'll see this splitting in these men where they can, their answer to this intrusiveness is to split off sex with non-committed situations.
I think this is interesting, and I think you're seeing a lot of that in the manosphere as well, and I'm going to go into that later, but it's fascinating. But yeah, it's basically the women that you love and respect, and you're like, she's like an angel, but you see her as so angelic and pure that like the thought of sexuality just turns you off, because you're like, oh no, I adore this woman, she's magical, she's like a unicorn, she's sacred and pure and holy, and like, wow, but like she's like a wife, but you can't have sex with a wife. Oh my god, am I having sex with a wife? Oh, no, you don't have sex with the Virgin Mary. But then there's whores over here. Oh, I hate them. They're so embarrassing. They're so disgusting, degrading. But like, I'm so sexually attracted to them. They turn me on so much. But like, they're filthy. They're disgusting as women. Like, gross, grimy. They're such like, I have disdain and disgust for them. But like, that's my thing. It's kind of like that. You don't respect them. The women you respect, it's a turn off. Lack of respect, now it's a turn on. And so I began to think that the Madonna whore complex could be a result of if you've had a mother who has blurred boundaries with you. If you have a mother who's been so overbearing, who's begun to act more like a partner. So basically, you mummy's on a pedestal for you. You're like, I love mummy. She's wonderful. She's amazing. She's an angel. And you see her as holy. She's like an angel. She's like she does all these mummy things for you, and she's so overbearing and smothering. She does everything for you. But she's also blurring some of those boundaries, appropriate boundaries. There's a bit like putting pressure on you to behave more like a partner, maybe, whether that's emotionally or it's crossing some lines. It's gonna weird you out, probably, whether consciously or not. So this was one of my inklings that potentially that I could see a reality where if you've grown up with a mother like that, if you then get into a partnership with a woman, well, what happens when you're in a partnership with a woman? Well, she starts to act like a partner. Who else has acted like a partner? Well, your mother. Your mother tried to act like a partner with you. So your wife is now reminding you of your mother. Your girlfriend, long-term girlfriend, she's reminding you of your mother now because your mother used to kind of act like she was your partner. So you're kind of turned off by that, and it's all a bit icky and crazy, and then maybe, and then you kind of disgusted at your own sexuality, so then it becomes something, and then it's, you kind of don't respect the women who engage in sexually, and it creates a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Infidelity, 40 to 50% of them, and I knew that. I was so not surprised that was my inkling. I was like, mummy's boys, sexually impulsive and unfaithful, kind of from what I've observed or seen. So I'm really not surprised by that at all, which seems counterintuitive. Like, if you respect and love your mother to that extent and she's doting on you, why are you going to be unfaithful? But it's trying to escape the smothering. So if you're with a partner, and whether she's actually been smothering or not, but you've got that kind of childhood trauma of a smothering mother, so you're trying to escape that, like you maybe did with your mum, so you're being unfaithful, you're acting out literally like a child. You're treating your wife or your partner kind of like she's your mum, you're acting out against her. She's smothering, she's trying to control you, even though commitment's not control. But then if you've got childhood trauma with a weird relationship with a parent, then it kind of seen as is, and maybe she is control. Maybe where you're with a woman like, for whatever reason, suffocating, you can't stand being suffocated by a mother, and so it's like commitment is just, I'm not doing it. It kind of messes with you. It's displacing the feeling towards the mothers. But that's what I mean. That anger towards women is that's what I believed, was that there was something to do with being angry at your mum, but you're displacing that feeling. You can't lash out at her, or for whatever reason, even consciously, you're not throwing that anger at her. So you're diverting that anger for your mother, and you're throwing it at the wrong woman. You're punishing the wrong woman, other women, for being angry at your mum, because you won't punish your mother for it, but like unconsciously. But that doesn't surprise me. That was my theory. But again, it's interesting. It's more emasculation. Mother's literally emasculated him because she's desexualized him because it's so uncomfortable for him. So that enmeshment with the mother does affect sexuality, which isn't surprising. And I think a lot of the red pill spaces, there's a lot of mummy issues there. The red pill space is obsessed with the Madonna whore like dichotomy. It is. I just wonder if there's lots of mummy issues going on there. I don't know, probably, but it's such a thing in the red pill space. You see it on Fresh and Fit. They will talk about the mythical, ideal, perfect wife that they'll one day marry and they dream about. And lots of the red pill men, it's like, this woman she doesn't exist anymore, she's from the past, or this mythical 18-year-old perfect virgin who's holy and sacred, and doesn't have personality, by the way, because this is all, women are not complex in this, okay? So you've got a holy virgin who is the ideal wife. But the ironic thing, and this is well known, anyone who looked into the red pill space, so these men are not actually attracted to those kinds of women. They say they are, but they're not. You know how I know they're not? Some women who go on these shows, like Fresh and Fit and the whatever podcast, OnlyFans models or whatever, people ask them, why do you go on these shows? Why do you go on these shows to get humiliated by a panel of men and have men sending in super chats and calling you sluts, whores, saying you're ugly, like humiliating you, get humiliated for like a couple of hours? Why do you go on there? To be told you're stupid, to be all of these things. You know what the women say? The reason they go on these shows is to promote their OnlyFans. And it works. That's their biggest audience. The men who are the most disgusted by these women for being sexual, are the biggest subscribers of it. If that doesn't talk about being, like, sexuality, that it's been so wrapped up in disgust or lack of respect. These OnlyFans girls will literally, they'll say this, after they've been on Fresh and Fit or whatever podcast, suddenly in a month, they'll be making, like, tens of thousands of dollars, suddenly, out of nowhere, because so many men, the same men who were sending in super chats, calling them stupid, ugly, no man will ever want you, you're useless, you're not worth anything for, like, no one wants to marry you, blah, blah, all of this. The same men sending that in are the same men who were attracted to these women, signing up for their OnlyFans, all of this. These guys are not actually attracted to this innocent, virginal, pure, sacred woman that they talk about. They don't actually want her. Well, they might want her as a wife, but they're not attracted to her because that's not what their behaviour is showing. It's really interesting. You see that a lot in the red pill space, is this total split in terms of what they think is acceptable from women, what behaviours they think are acceptable and appropriate from women, what makes a good woman. There's a total split between that and what they are attracted to in women, what they want from women. You see that even with Myron and Walter, Fresh and Fit themselves. Like, they will talk about, nice girls, sweet girls, perfect girls, innocent girls. Meanwhile, they're out there getting sex workers pregnant. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? So basically, in conclusion, a lot of the red pill space seems to be they're looking for mummy, they want a mummy to marry and keep at home, but they're actually sexually attracted to the women they're repulsed by. I don't know, is it all mummy issues? Potentially, maybe, who knows? But it's and as that guy said, it seems to be that sex addiction is a key aspect to a mother wound.
Also, psychologist Sam Vaknin says that some men who have narcissistic personality disorder, some of them, they can be misogynists because they had a bad relationship with their mother, hence why some of them have a personality disorder in the first place. And this can sort of like result in the same kind of phenomenon of the guy who like wanting like one type of woman for his wife and then another type of woman to sleep around with, but not really respecting either of them.
Narcissists hold women in contempt and abhor the thought of being really intimate with them. Usually, they choose partners who are submissive women, whom they disdain for being well below their intellectual level. This kind of choice, self-defeating and even self-destructive choice, leads to a vicious circle, a vicious cycle of neediness and self-contempt. The inner dialogue of the narcissist is, I need this woman to provide me with narcissistic supply, but how come I'm dependent on this inferior creature? And hence the abuse. The narcissist reasserts control and his superiority and his omnipotence by abusing his spouse or his lover. When primary narcissistic supply is available, the woman is hardly tolerated. As one would reluctantly pay the premium of an insurance policy, the narcissist maintains the relationship. Narcissists of all stripes regard the subjugation of an attractive woman to be a source of narcissistic supply. Both cerebrals and somatics like to subjugate women. Such conquests are status symbols, proofs of virility, and they allow the narcissist to engage in vicarious narcissistic behaviors, to express his narcissism through the conquered woman, to transform these women into instruments at the service of his narcissism, into his extensions. This is done by employing defense mechanisms such as projective identification, which we discuss in other videos. The narcissist believes that being in love is actually merely going through the motions. To him, emotions are mimicry and pretense. He does not believe that anyone has true feelings. He believes that people are acting. Narcissist says, I am a conscious misogynist. I fear and loathe women and tend to ignore them to the best of my ability. To me, women are mixtures of hunters and parasites. Most male narcissists are indeed misogynists. They hate women. After all, they are the warped creations of women. Women gave birth to them, and women molded them into what they are, dysfunctional, maladaptive, and emotionally dead. Narcissists are angry at their mothers. By extension, they rage and abuse all women. Narcissist attitude to women is naturally complex and multi-layered, but it can be described using 4 axes. A woman is either a holy or a hunter parasite, a frustrating object of desire, or a unique creation. Narcissist divides all women into saints and whores. He finds it difficult to have sex, which is dirty, forbidden, punishable, and degrading, with feminine significant others, such as spouse or intimate girlfriend. To him, sex and intimacy are mutually exclusive, rather than mutually expressive and mutually enhancing propositions. Sex is, as far as the narcissist is concerned, is reserved to whores. In other words, all the other women in his world, not the significant ones, not his spouse, not his mother, not his girlfriend. This division between saints and whores resolves the narcissist's cognitive dissonance. I want her, I don't need her, I want her, I don't want her. These inner conflicts are resolved by saying, I don't need her, she is inferior. I want her, because she is a kind of object of gratification. This division also legitimizes the narcissist's sadistic urges. Abstaining from sex is a major and recurrent narcissistic penalty inflicted on female transgressors. It tallies well with the frequent idealization devaluation cycles the narcissist goes through. The idealized females, in the eyes of the narcissist, are sexless. The devalued females are deserving of the degradation via sex, and they are deserving of the contempt that is attendant to sex. The narcissist believes firmly that women are out to hunt men by genetic predisposition. As a result, the narcissist feels threatened, as any prey would. This, of course, is an intellectualization of the real state of affairs. The narcissist feels threatened by women and tries to justify this irrational fear by imbuing women with objective, menacing qualities as huntresses. Well, this is just one small deep. Narcissist pathologizes others, generally, not only women, in order to control them. The narcissist believes that once their prey is secured, women assume the role of body snatchers. They abscond with the male's sperm. They generate an endless stream of demanding and nose-dripping children. They financially bleed the men in their lives to cater to their needs and to the needs of their dependents. Put differently, women are parasites, leeches, whose sole function is to suck dry every man they find and tarantula-like decapitate him once no longer useful. Is this a reflection of the narcissist behavior, or what? Yes, true. The narcissist projects his own modes of behavior, his own traits, onto women. This, of course, is exactly what the narcissist does to people. Thus, his view of women is mere and absolute projection.
And this is another reason why it's bad for women to be a pick-me girl, okay? Because they're always trying to be sympathetic to the men, regardless of how the men act, and trying to take accountability off of men, regardless of what the men do, and put blame on other women to, again, raise themselves up to make themselves look better than the other women. But they're not taking into consideration that sometimes it's the men that need help. In some circumstances, it is the men that have got problems. Now, I remember Sydney Watson, when she was on the Trigonometry podcast, and she was talking about how some guys from the Red Pill apparently were saying that if you're in a relationship with a woman, you should test her to see if she loves you unconditionally. And some of them were saying cheat on her, and if she stays with you when you cheat on her, it means she loves you unconditionally. Okay. And of course, Pearl Davis and I don't know, some other woman she was talking to, as usual, jump into the men's defense and slagging off this, because Sydney Watson said, no, she thinks if a woman stays with you when you're treating her badly, it's because you've got Stockholm syndrome or something like that. And Pearl Davis and this other woman were saying oh no, it's just because you're selfish. If a woman's not selfish, she'll stay with her husband and won't break up the family. So again, taking accountability off the man, putting the blame on the woman, when we are talking sometimes about men that have issues, okay? If a guy feels the need to test you to see if you love him unconditionally, there's something wrong with him, okay? That's not normal behaviour, okay? And I've said before in previous videos that I don't think unconditional love is a good thing in a partner. Because what I think it is, these guys who want to test a woman to see if the woman loves them unconditionally, what they're looking for is a mother. They're not looking for a partner. I think they're looking for a mother. All right. Because a love between a mother and their child is meant to be unconditional. All right. Well, with a partner, I don't think it is unconditional, because if your love is unconditional, that would mean that you would put up with any kind of crap, like your partner cheating on you, or if your partner was abusing you. Like, I do think people should have some conditions, but also these men who say this, they wouldn't want to put up with a partner who is cheating on them or treating them badly in any way, because they want somebody who loves them unconditionally, but they don't think the other way round, that the woman wants somebody who cares for them as well. Like, if the guy's constantly testing her, if he's cheating on her to see if she loves him unconditionally, he's showing her that he does not love her, or he doesn't care about her feelings, all right? And it's his own insecurity, all right? Now,